Hey there guys, welcome to the video. My name is Pushpinder Gill, and in this video we're going to be talking about consumer surplus and producer surplus. So we're going to be talking about consumer and producer surplus. Well, after watching this video, consumer and producer surplus will no longer be just a definition for you. You'll actually understand the true meaning behind consumer and producer surplus. So for us to understand that, let's actually make up an example. Let's suppose this is the price of something and this is the quantity demanded for something, or let's say the quantity for something, right? So let's suppose this is the quantity demanded and this is the quantity supply. So what happens is, let's suppose price 20, right? So if the price is 20, the quantity demanded would be really low, but the quantity supplied would be really high. And as the price goes down, as the price from 20 goes to 10, it goes to, sorry, 15, it goes to 10, it goes to 5. The quantity supplied keeps on decreasing, because as the price decreases, the quantity supplied decreases, and the quantity demanded keeps on increasing. So as the price decreases, the quantity demanded will increase, right? Which is actually some common sense, because if the price for something is low, then quantity demanded would be high and quantity supplied would be low, because suppliers won't be interested in supplying that particular product because the price is so low. So if I were to put that in terms of a diagram, let's suppose this is the diagram. This is your quantity here. This can be quantity demanded or quantity supplied. And this over here is your price of the item. So what happens is, let's suppose this is 0, and let's say this is 5, this is 10, this is 15, and this is 20. And let's say this is 5, this is 10, this is 15, and this is 20. Now if I draw the comparison between price and quantity supplied, as you can see, when the price is 5, the quantity supplied is 5, this point. When price is 10, quantity supplied is 10, which is this point. And when price is 15, quantity supplied is 15. And when price is 20, quantity supplied is 20. So this is actually your supply curve. So this is your supply curve. We've already made a video on demand and supply curve, so you can go ahead and watch that also. But here I'm just going to give you an introduction. Similarly, if I draw the demand curve, when the price is 20, the demand is 0. So when the price is 20, the demand is actually quantity demanded. It's something which is 0, right? So which would be right here. And when the price is 15, the quantity demanded is 5, which comes here. And when price is 10, quantity is 10, which is actually here. And then it comes here, and then it comes here. So if I just join this actually becomes our demand curve. So this is the supply curve, and this over here is our demand curve. Now, what do you mean by consumer surplus and producer surplus? Let me go ahead and define what do you mean by consumer surplus. Now, consumer surplus is something, the benefit that the consumer is getting. Now, what is happening here is that this is something which is the equilibrium point, right? Now, this is the quantity being produced and this is the price is being charged. Now, consumer surplus is the benefit to the consumer. That means that the consumer would have paid a maximum of 20 units. That means the consumer would have paid a maximum of 20 units. But what is happening? He's just paying 10 units. That means this is the price that he is saving, right? So he was supposed to pay 20. He could have paid 20, but he's paying 10. That means this is the price that he's saving. And how many quantity of units is he buying? A consumer is buying on an average of 10 amount of units, right? So he's buying 10 amount of units. And what is the price of the units that he is saving? So he's saving a 10 amount of price also, which means that the area under this part over here is nothing but your consumer surplus, right? Because as you know that price into quantity gives you the revenue, and this is the area under the curve is the amount of it's the amount that the consumer is benefiting because he was ready to pay 20 but he is paying 10, which means this area is the consumer surplus. If I go by the proper definition of consumer surplus, it's consumer surplus is the extra satisfaction So consumer surplus is the extra satisfaction, or let's say utility, that is gained by consumers. So that is an extra satisfaction or utility that is gained by consumers from paying the price, from paying the price so from paying the price that they are paying with respect to what they're supposed to pay. So by paying a price that is lower than what they are prepared to pay. So than what they are prepared to pay. Right? So this is the exact definition of consumer surplus. That is the extra satisfaction or utility that is gained by the consumer from paying the price that is lower than what they're prepared to pay. So this area over here is represented as the consumer surplus. Now if I talk about what is the producer surplus, now based on the same example, the producers are ready to sell at $0, but they are selling at $10, which means this area over here is something which represents the producer surplus. So that would again be the extra satisfaction or utility that is gained by the producers from selling at a price which is higher than what they are prepared to sell at, right? So this would be over here, this area over here would actually be your producer surplus. And if let's say I talk about the total revenue generated by selling at 10 and by buying at 10. So if I talk about the total revenue, so the total revenue that is generated by selling at 10 and buying at 10 would actually be $100, right? So out of these $100, $50 is the consumer surplus and $50 is the producer surplus. Because if you look at the curve, this is how the curve is, right? Just gonna extend that curve. So this is 10 here and this is 10 here, right? So this actually represents the total revenue. So you can also represent this total revenue in a different way. You can actually consider this triangle to be here, right? So what you can do is you can say, let's suppose that this over here is the total revenue, right? So this over here is the total revenue because this was 20, this was 0, and this was actually 10. So that means the total revenue was this area over here, which is, what is the area of a triangle? Area of a triangle is half times base, which is 20, times the height, which is 10. So the area over here is nothing but $100, and out of which, what is the consumer surplus? The consumer surplus is nothing but, it's this part, which is this. And what is the producer surplus? The producer surplus is nothing but the part is this. So if you sell lower than the equilibrium price, then the consumers will gain more. If you sell higher than the equilibrium price, then producers will gain more. Fine. So that is what is meant by consumer surplus and producer surplus. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I suppose you've understood this, and don't forget to watch our next video, which is going to be on price discrimination. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next.